Good morning, afternoon and evening, my crazies. My name's Angela. I'm the crazy Bobby lady and welcome to today's tutorial. That's alright, finally I'm getting around to doing another tutorial for you. This one's a little bit different though. It's not a corner to corner blanket. It's not something mega small. It is this poncho. Now this is going to be called the Not Again Granny poncho. Because I know I'm bound to at some point have a grandchild at some point say, no, not another crocheted item for Christmas. But do you know what, it doesn't matter. Let's get on with me showing you this pattern quickly and then we will move on to the tutorial. Okay, so this one, whether you're making it for yourself or for a child, it's a pattern that can be easily extended to the size that you want. Now the pattern I'm going to be showing you today is for the adult version, okay, because I haven't done the math yet for the kid version. But by the time this tutorial comes out, hopefully I will have done the kids version and the information will be in the description box and down below. Okay, so today's poncho is this one here. This was made with an Aran weight yarn. Now you can of course use a DK weight or an Aran, so that is a 3 or a 4 or an 8 or a 10 ply. Oh, I'm getting good at this. Now this yarn, I cannot tell you what the make of it is because it was from a mill end bag that I brought in Australia in October. So this shawl has taken just shy of 400 grams of yarn to make. Okay, we have of course got the beautiful V at the front and the back. There's some extra detailing with the stitches, so it's not a solid, complete and utter granny. There is some other stitching that's coming in irregular patterns throughout. Well, it's not. It's regular because I can't handle it if it ain't normal, if it ain't strategically placed. Alright, and it also has the cowl around the neck as well. So just give me a moment and I'll take it off a Dory and I'll pop it on and show you what it looks like on me. Now I'm 5'8"-ish, might have shrunk in half an inch, but I'm 5'8" and a 16 to 18 in UK clothes sizes. Okay, so this will give you an idea of how far 400 grams went. Okay, so here it is on me. As you can see, it is a little bit shorter than the ones that I normally make. That's because I only had the one packet. But of course, by following the pattern along, you can of course extend it and make it longer. Now my daughter is the next size up in clothing to me, and this looked absolutely beautiful on her. And I was really chuffed with the way it's turned out. It's hot. It's also really nice and comfy. It's not too tight around the neck. I know some people don't like mega tight on the neck. Others do. So of course you can adjust this section depending on your preference. But I've got it stuck at this and this is really lovely for me. Okay, there's no need to fold it over. Let me come in and we'll sit down. There we go. There's no need either to fold it over. It just sits quite nicely. And of course, if you wish, you can always snuggle it in a little bit closer. Okay, so the yarn I believe I have used as a educated, not so educated guess would be the Four Seasons. Okay, Spot Savers print. I cannot tell you the colourway because of course I can't find it yet. But it is an Aran weight 10 ply or an 8 WPI weight yarn. The meterage is 260 yards or 283 meters. The unit weight is normally around 140 grams or 4.94 ounces. Yeah, I can't tell you what we normally call it. And the gauge is 17 stitches equals 4 inches. US size needle would be an 8, UK a 5mm. Okay, the fibres are, it's acrylic, it's a textured pile, and you can machine wash it at 30. And of course the normal don't bleach, don't tumble dry, lay flat to dry. And it's made in Turkey, so there is a chance if you're in the UK of getting your hands on this yarn, but it might come under a different label. If I can work out what the label is, of course I will put it in this video or shout on a whips bits and chat. Okay, so the pattern today has got one variation on it compared to this one. This was my draft one. I will now be showing you the one that we're going to be making on screen. And look at this one, how cool is this? It's massive. It's massive, it's massive. Now this is the one that you are going to be seeing made today in today's tutorial. Okay, it is the same pattern as this, but of course there's been a little bit of colour control and I've added more repeats. So for this one you had this one and this one, the difference is the extra repeats. So there is this whole section between here and here which is a bonus extra repeat. You can add it if you wish or not, choice is all yours. Okay, so to achieve this look, let's sit me bum down. So to achieve this colourway here, I have actually mixed two different yarns together. They are both a DK weight yarn. They're both 100 grams, and I will tell you about that in a moment in the actual video, right at the beginning. Okay, so what I did was I worked the two colours up for these sections here, which is what's given it the really a crazy pattern. But to be honest, I'm liking it, and I went a bit crazy because I had 500 grams of this one and 400 grams of the white. There is a bit of the white left, but I left it in the other room. So what I did was, to start off with, I doubled up 100 grams of the brown so that I used that for these stripes. Okay, I did end up going over 100 grams on these stripes, so that's why I've got this one. This was my emergency. And I've of course doubled up with the whites, and I've used just shy of 400 grams there. What I suggest you do is you only mix up the balls as you need to. If you're putting them on a ball winder like I did, otherwise you just have the two balls working by the side of you. Makes life a little bit easier that way. Right, okay, so I hope you enjoy today's tutorial. Fingers crossed you make it. I tell you what, I would love to see this one in Christmas colours. Could you imagine it? Sparkly white with the red for this section here, and then this one here, a really nice green, like Christmas green. Can you imagine it? That looks so cool. And it can also be downsized. I still haven't done the measurements for the kids, but the pattern increases are in 4s, so I would probably, for a kid, probably only knock off what, about 8 stitches, so make it 8 stitches less on the starting chain, so that we can get their big heads through, because kids still have big heads, didn't they? Right, come on, and let's get over to the pattern. I think I've talked enough. So if you're planning to follow along with me today and you want to go for the shorter shawl, it's not even a shawl, it's a poncho, the shorter poncho, you're going to need 400 grams of an Aran weight yarn and a 6mm J hook. Okay, if you are planning to go crazy and make this massive one like I've done, you are going to need 500 grams of a DK weight yarn in option colour A, which would be your stripes, and 400 grams of your secondary colour, okay, and that is also a DK, so you'll be running both of those on your 6mm J hook as well. Okay, so come on, let's get on with this pattern, because this section has got a bit long in the tooth. Right, so here we go. Here is a quick look at the top section of this poncho. We are going to be starting in this section here, and we are going to work down for 100 or 200 grams of yarn, depending on what you've got, and then we will come back and start on the finish this section first before carrying on and using up all the rest of our yarn. Okay, now today I am going to be using a J, which is a 6mm hook. I've got two different types of yarn, which I'm breaking my own rules about mixing, but they're both 100% acrylic. Now these two are both a DK weight yarn, so by mixing them together and running 2 strands throughout this project, I'll actually be making my own Aran weight yarn, so it means that the project will go a little bit quicker. Now remember, you can either use an Aran weight yarn, you can use 2 strands of DK, or you could in fact just do this in a DK weight. You may need to do more increasing, of course, and change the pattern around a little bit to make sure that it fits. If you're making it for a kid, stick to the Aran. Saves a lot of math. Okay, so those are the yarns I've got. I've got a So Crafty, which of course is an Aldi yarn. It's 100% acrylic. There's 300 meters approximately in this ball. Okay, nothing really interesting about that one. Now this one I've not worked with on camera before. This is the Gloria Canon. Now I bought this years ago in a job load of yarn, so I don't actually know where to get this from, how much it costs, or any of that information. If I find it, I will put it on screen and it will be running along the side here. Okay, so let's have a quick look. There is 345 meters and it is 100% acrylic. Okay, so that's 2 acrylic yarns. Shouldn't have too much issues when it comes to washing. I wonder what it would be like, and will it dye itself? I'm not too sure. Okay, so what I've done to start off with, let's move those out of the way, is I've got a small ball of double-stranded brown. That was the leftovers from when I made some big cakes. So we'll be using the big cake shortly. But to start off with today, let's grab our hook. Let's grab our yarn. So that's whatever colour yarn you want, whatever hook combo you want. Okay, so we're going to start off today by making a slip knot and popping that on our hook. I'm just going to bring the camera down. Okay, so to start off today, what we are going to do is make a slip knot, whatever method you like. Pop it on your hook, and now we're going to chain 80. What I like to do is I chain my first 10. Okay, and then I grab this very first chain, go from the back of the chain, pop my hook through, then pop it back through a slip stitch, like that. Okay, and that means that when it comes to slip stitching them together at the end of your 80 count, you can do it really easily and not have to worry about the chain slipping. It's taken me a little while to work out which angle to put it in at though. Right, so I carry on chaining until you get to 80 and I will meet you back here. Okay, once you have your 80, you're going to slip stitch through to the very first stitch. Now it's time to start our next round. We're going to chain up 1, and into the very first chain we are going to place a half double crochet. Okay,
So to do the half double crochet, it's hook over, go through the loop, hook over, pull up your yarn, hook over and pull through all three. You're going to do that all the way around. I will meet you back here once you've done it. Right, once you get to the end, pop that 80th stitch in. That's right, so you should have 80 double crochets, half double crochets, sorry, at this point. We are then going to slip stitch to the top of our very first stitch to finish off the round. Okay, so and now chain one, place a double crochet into the top of that very first half double crochet, and then we are going to double crochet all the way around for a count of 80. I'll meet you back here when you've done it. So to double crochet, you hook over, pop your hook through both parts of the V, hook over, pull up a loop, hook over, pull through two, hook over, pull through two, and you carry on doing that all the way to the end. I will meet you back here in a few moments. Cheeky trick for joining the old and the new yarn together. You take your yarn, okay, you twist it on itself like that and pull it back so you've got a simple double-sided loop. Place your new yarn through the middle, give yourself a decent tail, and then just pull tight. That way you've only got these tails here to sew in. Now the reason I'm showing you this is because I am so close to being at the end of my yarn. I'm just going to keep working it through because it's not going to really get seen, the extra colour difference. Now you've got to make sure that when you finish the end of a row, round number 2, that you have got 80 stitches. Once you have, slip stitch to the top of that very first double crochet. And we are ready now to start round number 3. Right, so and now for round number 3, what we are going to do is we are going to chain up 3. Okay. Then we are skipping 3. And into the 4th stitch along, you're going to place a double crochet. Now we're going to put a further 2 more double crochets into the same stitch. Okay. Then we're going to chain 1. Now skip 3 more stitches. And into the 4th stitch we are going to make a corner. So to make the corner, you are going to place 3 double crochets, once you have those 3 double crochets, we are going to chain 2 and place 3 more double crochets into the same stitch. And then chain 1. Okay, so and now we are going to work along this side. To start off with, we're going to make sure that we skip this first stitch here, and the second and the third, then into the 4th, place 3 double crochets, and a chain 1, skip 3 into the 4th, 3 double crochets, chain 1, skip 4, 3 double crochets, and chain 1, skip 4, through 3 double crochets, and chain 1, skip 4, skip 3, 3 double crochets into the 4th stitch, and chain 1, skip 3 into the 4th, 3 double crochets, and chain 1, skip 3 into the 4th, 3 double crochets, and chain 1, skip 3 into the 4th, 3 double crochets, chain 1, skip 3 into the 4th, 3 double crochets, chain 1. Okay, so we keep going along here until we have the single clusters here, and we should have 9. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, in the 10th one, sorry, I went a little bit too far there, we are put in a corner. So in the 10th one, you chain 2, and then place another 3 double crochets in to the same stitch. Okay, now for this, to finish off this round, now all we're going to do is carry on with this pattern sequence here all the way along, and you should in total, counting that one there, have 9. Okay, so we're looking to put 8 in, so you're skipping 3, and in the 4th you're popping in 3 double crochets, and chain 1, skip 3, double crochets, chain 1, and carry on doing that all the way to the end. Carry on going until you've done 7, and I'll meet you back here for the 8th one. Okay, once you've got to this very last stitch, you may be working possibly in 1 stitch behind, depending on how your work looks. Don't worry too much, because we can fudge it and make it look cool. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to place 2 double crochets into the standard stitch, which is the 4th from the previous. Then once you have your 2 double crochets, we are going to slip stitch into the 2nd chain of that beginning chain 2, which will give us our cluster again. And now we are ready to start onto round number 4. Now round number 4 is a repeat round. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do round number 4, and then I'm going to tell you how many rounds in total you are going to need to do before coming back to the video. Round number 4, there we go, we are going to chain 3, that's 1, 2 and 3. Okay, so it's a chain 3 and then place a 2 double crochets into the gap between your clusters. Okay, so once joined together, that will look like a normal cluster. We are going to chain 1 and then moving over to the next gap between our clusters, we are going to place 3 double crochets, chain 1. Okay, so and now we have reached our corner. Onto the corner now, what we are going to do is hook over and pop 3 double crochets, a chain 2 and 3 double crochets into, or should I say around, that chain. Once that's done, make sure you add your chain 1 at the end of your second cluster. And now we are going to work our 3 double crochets around the chain between the clusters from the row below. Now this is it now. It is a simple. It is a 3 double crochets and a chain in each a chain 1 space. The only time you need to change it up a little bit is at the corners. Okay, so at the corner, remember, it is 3 double crochets, a chain 2, 3 double crochets all around that chain 2 spot. But other than that, it's really simple. So I'll just keep working this last round with you. So hopefully it'll sink in. That's 3 double crochets and a chain 1 around each chain 1 from the row below. Right, onto the corner, 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets, and chain 1. And then back to our 3 double crochets around our chain 1. I will meet you back here in a moment when you get to the end. Okay, so here we are with our last double crochet into, or should I say around that last single crochet from the row below. So now all we do is we chain 1, find the top of your chain 3 from the previous round, pop, you hook through and do a slip stitch, and that is it. Now what we're going to do is slip stitch across to this very first chain 1 space. Okay. So you pop your hook through, pull up your yarn and pull it straight through. You may either need 2 or 3 depending on where you decide to finish off this chain. It won't be noticeable in the big scheme of things, to the point of I can't actually find it on this one. Okay, now all we're going to do now is a repeat around number 4. We're just going to keep going around and around and around, okay, until you have a total of 10 granny square rounds. Once you have those, come back to the video. But before you go, hold up, here's your quick reminder. To start, you chain 3, you place 2 double crochets around this very first single bunts. You then place 2 double crochets around that chain space and chain 1. Moving up, you keep doing your 3 double crochets, chain 1 until you reach your corner. At your corner you place in 3 double crochets, a chain 2, 3 double crochets followed by a chain 1. Then work your clusters all the way down, so it's your 3 double crochets plus your chain 1. Don't forget that chain 1. Okay, and of course, and when you get back to the join here, you're going to place 3 double crochets in this last spot, a chain 1. Then you are going to slip stitch to the top of your chain 2. Okay, that's the end of the round. The start of the round, of course, is slip stitching across until you get to the middle section here, and then we start the whole round again. If you need to listen again, just rewind the video back. There will be in the description box down below some quick links that will take you back to each section. So all you need to do is push the highlighted number. I will meet you back here when you have your 10 rounds complete. Your granny stitch count will also be increasing as we go by 2 for each round. Here we are at the end of that 10 row repeat. The easiest way I found to count your rows is to count on the diagonal. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. Right, so here is my very last section. Okay, so it's just a case now of slip stitching to the top of the chain 3. Now at this point I am changing my yarn colour over back to the solid to make this next section super easy for you guys to all see. Okay, so it's slip stitched. Okay, and now I'm going to chain up 3. That is going to be counting as a double crochet for this round. Now I'm going to be placing a double crochet into the top of each of the stitches for each of the clusters. Okay, so that'll be 3 for there. Then we double crochet around the chain. That brings our count up to 4. Okay, and then we are going to do that all the way down this side until we get to this corner. So making sure that you get that very first stitch there. There we go. Okay, so very first stitch there, hop in with the 1, number 2 next door, number 3 and number 4 goes round the chain. Okay, and you keep doing that until you reach the corner. So that's your 3rd, there, and then your fourth goes into the corner like that. Then we place another double crochet into that corner, chain 2 and 2 more double crochets. Now it's time to work a double crochet all the way along your work, making sure that your very first one is at the top of this double crochet here. Okay, sometimes that can be a little bit hidden. Okay, so once you've got that one, that's number 1, number 2 next door, number 3 in the stitch after, and then 1 in the chain. Okay, so carry on doing that all the way and down this side, and I will meet you in a few moments for the second corner. For the second corner, make your way all the way up and then into the chain 2. We will be placing 2 double crochets and chain 2 and 2 more double crochets. Now we're going to work a double crochet all the way along as we have done on this previous section of the round, making sure you get that very first one. So again, that's 3 in the top and 1 around the chain 1. I will meet you back here and when you get to the end. Okay, so at this point we want to make sure that one of our corners, that our clusters land in our corner. So we're going to count back in groups of 4. So what we're going to do is, we now know that this stitch here is our starting stitch. So we're going to slip stitch over to there. So it's only slip stitch 1. Then we're going to chain up 3, skip 3, and into the 4th, pop your 3 double crochets and your chain 1. And again, skip 3 into the 4th, 3 double crochets, and your chain 1. And now we're into the corner. So for the corner, it's 3 double crochets, chain 2, and then 3 double crochets. And then we're going to work all the way down to the next corner, doing the same pattern as before, which is the pattern here. Jumping ahead of myself. Okay, so making sure you count that very first stitch. We're going to go 1, 2, 3 and into the 4th. Place your 3 double crochets. And your chain 1. And then of course we're going to skip the 3 again and then into the 4th. Yep, 3 double crochets, a chain 1, and keep doing that all the way along, and I will meet you when you get to the next corner. Okay, so we are now up for the second corner, so we have the gap of 3. Okay, we are going to place our 3 double crochet and chain 2 and 3 double crochet into the corner. Corner section, we're going to make sure that this side here matches this one here. So skip those first 3 and then place 3 double crochets and a chain 1 into the 4th stitch. And then carry on the pattern all the way down until you get to this section here. Just before this section, stop and return and back to the video where I'll show you how to join the round. Alright, so here we are coming up to the end. So you've got your cluster there, and then we have a gap of 3 and the chain, right, the stitch where the chain's coming out. So what you want to do is pop, it's a bit tight, but if you pop another 2 double crochets to the same place that the chain's coming out, and then slip stitch into the second chain up, sorry, that creates your cluster. Then it's a case of now unchaining up 3 and carrying on and going round by placing 2 double crochets into that one, chain 1, work your way to the corner doing your clusters and chain 1s, placing 3 double crochet, a chain 2 and 3 double crochet into the corner, add that chain 1, and then work all the way down the side to your next corner where you repeat the same. And then when you get back to here, you're going to be placing a cluster in here, a chain 1 and then a slip stitch to join. Then of course you slip stitch over to this section here, chain up and carry on as you were doing with this first 10 rounds. We're now going to do another 10 rounds. I will meet you back here later on. Have fun. Okay, so now I'm going to be showing you how to do this ribbing section for the neck. Now, you can do this at any point during making the shawl, whether you do it after the first couple of rows here, or whether you wait until you get all the way down to your first set. Actually, it doesn't matter where you do it, just make sure you do it before you get to the end of the shawl. Especially if you are working this shawl based on the directions for the green shawl that I have here, which of course was made using 400 grams of an Aran weight yarn. Okay, so what I did for that one was I stopped when I got to about here and I ran out of my first 100 grams, okay, or yeah, first 100 grams, and then I worked onto this section. So right, so and now to start on our ribbed section here. Now this one is done really easy with front post and back post double crochet. If you're unsure how to do it, follow this little I button here. Okay, this will take you through to a stitch a week where I show you how to do this stitch a lot slower than what I may do today. Okay, so what we're going to do is a standing double crochet, but it's a little bit of a twist here with our placement. We are going to work around our half double crochets and use them as a post. So pop your hook in, down one side, up the other, hook over, draw up your yarn, hook over, pull through 2, hook over and pull through 2, and we're going to do that again with the next stitch. So let's go down the side, underneath, hook over, pull through, hook over, pull through 2, hook over, pull through 2, and you're going to do that all the way around. When you get back to here, this section here, you should have 80 double crochets. Okay, I will meet you back here shortly. Right, so here we are coming up to the very last front post double crochet. Right, so to join our round, what we are going to do is just find the top of that very first double crochet, pop your hook through and slip stitch to close. Now we're going to chain one. You're going to do this at the beginning of each of these rounds. Okay, so chain one, hook over, and then we are going to front post a double crochet around that very first double crochet. Onto the second one, we are going to back post. Okay, and we're going to alternate between front post and back post all of the way around, and you should end up with the back post. Okay, so let me show you it again. That is hook over, go to the front of your work, pick up the post, hook over, pull through, hook over, pull through two, hook over, pull through two, and back post, go to the back of your work, de-stitch. Oh, I will come back and do these two neatly in a second. Okay, and you just keep doing that all of the way around. Okay, so that's front post, back post, front post, back post, for a count of 80. Right, I will meet you back here in a few moments once you finish this round. Okay, so and now we're coming up for the very last back post. Okay, you are going to slip stitch to the top of the first front post, chain one. We don't work into that chain one, by the way. It's the chain one, and now we're going to start on row number 3 for this one, or the second row, as I like to call it, the second row of the front and back post double crochets. Now in total I have done, on my green one, I have done a total of 7 front post back post rounds. Okay, now that I'm going to leave the choice of how deep you want this to be all up to you, but once you have done the height that you wish, pop back to the video and I will show you how to finish off. Okay, so just a quick reminder, we start off with a chain one, and then we do a front post double crochet, then a back post double crochet, and we repeat that pattern all of the way around. When we get to our last back post double crochet, we complete that, we slip stitch to the top of our very first stitch, our first double crochet here, and then of course we chain one and we start the thing all over again, in my case for a total of 7 rounds. I will meet you back here once you have got to the height of the collar that you want. Right, so and now time to finish off your collar. Now to double check if you've lost count or got carried away, if you need to know how many rows you've done, you look for this little round section of the stitch. Okay, you ignore this, let's go over here, you ignore this first row, first section, you come across your first bobble, you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so that's how I do it. Now it's just a case of a slip stitching to the top of that first double crochet, chain up 2, cut off your yarn, leaving yourself a decent amount for sewing in, grab the top of the knot and scooch it down. There we go. Now this is a good opportunity and a good time to actually sew in a few ends, saves doing them all later. Okay, so remember to fold your work inside out before doing that, and an easy way to tell whether your work is inside out or not is this ridge here that we have formed whilst making this section is on the inside. Okay, so I'm so happy I've done it this way round for this shawl, because that one hasn't got the ridge in, so it got rather confusing. Right, so once you've done that, it's a case of rejoining your yarn and carrying on going until, of course, you finish your second block of 10 and granny stitch rounds, and I will meet you back here shortly. Okay, so here are both of the shawls side by side, because I've decided what I'm going to do now is just direct you to which section you need to go to carry on with the pattern, because of course you did that big block of 10, and then you did your double crochets all the way around, and then we did our joining row to start off again and set us up ready to go to do, of course, a total of 10 more rounds of granny stitch. Now if you are following along using the same yarn as me, or for the green one, so you're, did it do it? Right, so if you are following along using the 400 grams of an Aran weight yarn, and this is roughly the size that you're going to get, and this is the size that you were expecting. Okay, so your patterns, the pattern that you are going to need is the 10 rounds followed by 1 round of double crochet, followed by 10 rounds of granny stitch, followed by 1 round of a double crochet, followed by 7 rounds of granny stitch, and ending up with 1 round of double crochet. Now the reason we have gone less on this end is because you're going to run out of yarn, but that's fine, because of course that is making it to the size that you want. I'm now going to carry on going with the brown one, which you will have already seen, so you'll already know how many repeats I actually managed to get out of the yarn that I have got here. So fingers crossed, wish me luck. I'm really hoping that this one is going to cover me bum. So for this one, the recap is that the next round after you've done your 10 is going to be a round of solid double crochets. Then I'm going to follow it up with another 10 rounds of granny, and end off with another round of solid. I may add more, we'll just have to wait and see, but that is your basic pattern, which is 10 rounds of granny, 1 round of solids, double crochets, and then of course another 10 rounds of granny. Okay, and we'll just keep going until granny runs out of yarn. Right, so and now it's time to add on the very last row, if you've got enough yarn, or if you indeed want to, and this just gives it a nice finishing edge. Okay, it's called the crab stitch. It's a little bit awkward to get your head around to start with, but honestly, once you suss it, it's really nice and simple. So are you ready for this? We're going to chain up 1, we are going to go back in to that chain space, pick up your yarn and do a single crochet. Now we're not going our normal direction, we are now going in reverse. Okay, so this is where it sometimes it gets a little bit confusing, but honestly it isn't. And we just take it slowly and 1 step at a time. So let's bring this up and hope that the camera focuses in. Lovely. Right, so we are going to put our hook in the next stitch back. Okay, I'm going to have to just sort out my, do it myself. Where are we? There we go. Okay, so you bring your hook and you pop it through there, through the stitch back. You hook over, pull up and do a single crochet as normal. Okay, it's not going to look that brilliant at the moment, but honestly as you keep going, so that's a stitch back, pop your hook in, hook over, pull up your yarn, hook over again and pull through. Right, as you're doing it, it's going to settle down nicely and it's going to end up looking like this one here. Okay, just take your time with it. By the time you finish this shawl, you'll be a master at it. Okay. Oh, no, yeah, I thought I'd lost one of my strands then. Right, so again, you go backwards, pop your hook through, pull up a loop, muck it up, Ange. See, I've done nearly all of this shawl and I've still mucked it up, because I'll be stripping this a bit back in a second and then finishing it off again. Right, so in through the previous stitch, hook over, pull up your yarn, hook over, pull through both stitches on your hook, back in to the one stitch prior, hook over, pull up your yarn. Oops, sorry. Okay, and we just keep doing that all the way along. Now I'm going to stop talking because then I can concentrate. I can get to the end, or should I say get to this corner section here. So keep going until you are at your corner. You're going to have a little while to go because of course I'd set you up for the other corner. So meet me back here in a few moments when you are close to the corner. Yay, you did it! Right, okay, so now you've mastered the stitch. We are going to pop in our very last crab stitch into our very last double crochet there. Then we are going to go around our chain and just do the crab stitch twice, making sure that you place your new stitch behind the one that you just done. Okay, and then jump into our very first, the top of the very first double crochet in the next row along, sorry, next stitch along, and then you're going to crab stitch all the way down until of course you get to the end. I will meet you at the next corner where I will repeat this section again for you. Okay, and then I will meet you at the end for your joining. Right, so you're coming up to your next corner. Keep grabbing away. Okay, so we are going around the chain two times, making sure that our second crab stitch is placed behind the first one in that corner, and then jumping in to the next stitch and carrying on, grabbing the crab stitch until we get to the very first one. I'll meet you back here in a moment. Right, so you are at the last spot. You've just completed the last crab stitch in your round before you meet the first crab stitch. Now I'm a bit cheeky here. I always stick an extra crab stitch into that very first spot, then chain up 2, cut off your yarn. Okay, I pull up your loop, and then it's a case of scooching down that knot and then tying, hiding your yarn ends. That is it. That is the end of the shawl. I will now talk over this big beautiful brown one so that you know how much yarn I used and how I did it. Right, I'll see you in a second. Extra section, undoing crab stitch. Boing! It is so easy to undo. I really do hope that you've enjoyed doing today's tutorial, or even just watching it. But if you have managed to make this shawl, I would absolutely love a photograph so that I can show it off on a future Whips, Bits and Chat. I'll tell you what I'd really love to see though. I'd love to see this done in Christmas colours. So this section here, mixing 2 DK weights being a red and a sparkly white. That, I think that would look really good there, along with a green section, a really nice Christmas green for the stripe. I think that would be amazing. I just haven't got time to make it or find the yarn to do it. But that is it for me for today. As I said, I really do hope you have enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope to see your photos very, very soon. Thank you ever so much for watching. So I'm now going to say stay chilled, stay happy, and keep crafting. Ta-ra, everybody.